Good morning, church. It is good to be with you here today. Happy Sunday. There's two narrative events out of 2 Samuel I want to look at today. The first one is out of chapter 21 because at a first glance it seems to challenge some of God's law that the sons would not be killed for the sins of the father. And yet we see that Saul had gone against this early covenant. You remember when the Gibeonites came and deceived the Israelites with their crumbly bread, their moldy food, their worn out water skins. And so Joshua and the Israelites, without inquiring of God, made a covenant with them that they would never wipe them out. Well, apparently Saul, after all this time, it's been a long time up to this point, a few hundred years. And now Saul has decided that they need to be wiped out in his bloody zeal. Apparently that covenant was still valid in God's eyes because there's a famine that comes upon the land. Should cause us to remember that we don't make hasty oaths or promises to the Lord because he remembers from generation to generation. And then here comes this strange event that unnerves me where God approves and allows and even rewards vengeance upon the house of Saul. 5 sons and 2 grandsons, it looks like, are hanged, and then the famine is ended. Why are they punished? And what happened? Well, it's apparently, the Lord says, it is due to Saul and to his bloody family. So we should take note that it wasn't just what Saul did, but all of his family were guilty, and we should anticipate then that these sons that were hanged were also guilty. And so we don't see a violation of God's law, but rather a fulfillment of it and a fulfillment of that oath that they had made. It was hasty, it wasn't good, but God held them to it all these years later. So remember, don't make hasty promises to God. And then I want to think about David's prayer of thanksgiving. He says in 22:38, I pursue my enemies and destroy them. I do not turn back until they are wiped out. I wipe them out and crush them, and they do not rise. They fall beneath my feet. You have clothed me with strength for battle. You subdue my adversaries beneath me. You have made my enemies retreat before me. I annihilate those who hate me. They look, but there is no one to save them. They look to the Lord, but he does not answer them. I pulverize them like dust of the earth. I crush them and trample them like mud in the streets. It's very violent. And I know we've talked some that it's hard for us to pray or do our daily life in the same way as the old covenant. But when we consider this passage, I want you to consider that we do have an enemy who hates us. Satan, that serpent of old who wants to see all rather than come to salvation. He wants to see all drawn away and pulled away from God. And we can have this kind of mentality towards him because the early proto-gospel in Genesis 3 is that his head would be crushed by the sun. We don't want to be gentle with our enemy who despises us. We want his works to be totally demolished and completely destroyed because there is no good and there is no redemption there. And so we want to go out and conquer and to destroy and to pulverize all those evil machinations of the one who works against us, and to bring back those who have been seduced and have been drawn away. So as we gather as a church together today, we want to be equipped We want to be encouraged and to see the body of believers that gathers together to do just that. I love you, church. Happy Sunday.